All right, now that we have SendGrid, our account set up, now that we have it installed and we've also set our API key in the OS environment, we're going to send a test email. So how do we send emails with SendGrid? So I've created a new Python folder, or Python file, emailtest.py, and we've installed SendGrid through pip, so we're going to import it. Import SendGrid. We're also going to import OS for the operating system since we set our API key there. And then we're going to import SendGrid helpers. So from SendGrid helpers, mail imports all items. Okay, so the very first thing we do is we create a SendGrid object. So the SendGrid package gives us access to the API. So we'll call it sg equals SendGrid dot SendGrid API client. And we're going to set our API key equal to os.environ. .get, and then we called it SendGrid API key. All right, so what we've done is we created a new SendGrid object, and we've authenticated ourselves via our API key. So now SendGrid knows that it's us sending an email. All right, so now we have to build out the parts of the email. So from email equals email, and we'll just say it's tracy@gmail.com, or we'll do example, matt@example.com. The to email is going to equal to mdctric@gmail.com. Okay, the subject equals, this is a test, and the content equals content. And then there's two parts to this. First is a MIME type, text plain. So this is just going to be a text-based email. We're going to talk about HTML email in a minute. This is a great test email. And then the mail itself. Now that we have all the parts of the mail, we're going to call the email itself mail, a new mail object. So the from address, the to address, the subject, and the content. And then we're going to send it. So we're going to create a response variable equals SendGrid, the client, mail send. And you might be like, why are you typing all this? This is just how the SendGrid client was designed. So to send an email, you have to call all of these separate objects. And then body equals mail.get. All right, so we've sent the email, and now we need to grab the status codes. So, and see how the response went. And I'm going to walk through all this code again in a second and give a little more thorough explanation. So we'll print the various parts of the response. So all right, so there's the status code, print response body, And finally, print. All right. So that's it. Looks pretty simple, right? 18 lines of code to send an email. So let's first test it, see if this works, and then we'll walk through it again. So we'll go back to drive V, CD. What week are we in? 12? Yeah, I guess we are. Okay, so Python, email test.py, run it. Mail from email, oh, to address. It's to email. Always check your code. All right, save it, we'll clear it, we'll run it again. Look at that. All right, so we get status response code 202. All right. So I'm going to go check my email. And I'm going to see if I got an email. It'll wind up in my spam. So I've been sitting here a while, and you might experience this too. I'm waiting to see, I'm checking my Gmail account, and I see nothing, don't know what's going on. Sometimes it takes a while for SendGrid to process, especially if you've created a new account. So if we look here, this is my activity feed in SendGrid, and you can get here by clicking on activity on the left hand side, and you can search all the emails you sent. Here it's a 3-day period. We're just going to hit search, and it's going to pop up everything you sent. So you see it did successfully send, and it's saying it's processing. This is a test. We can click on it. We can get information about the email that we sent. So it's processed by SendGrid, and it's pending to be received by gmail.com. So you're just going to have to, wait a minute, wait a few minutes, 10, 15, maybe longer, to send this email out. So go grab a coffee, go grab a drink, wait for this to get going. So I'm going to pause the video, and I will pick back up when it's sent out.
Okay, Patrick, it's all in the technique. First go like this, spin around, stop, double take 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Then pelvic thrust. Woo! Woo! Stop on your right foot, don't forget it. Now it's time to bring it around town.
Well, I went off, I got some lunch, and came back, and magically my emails were sent. I sent a couple emails to a couple different accounts just to be safe, but it did take a good hour and a half. A lot of this is probably due to the fact that it's a free account with SendGrid, as well as it's a new account. So it may take some time for your initial emails to go through. So I would suggest that, again, don't do this on a Sunday. Make sure that you are doing this ahead of time, setting up your account at the beginning of the week, so that if you run into problems or it does take a long time to send an email, you're good to go. All right, so I will drag over my email account here. So as you can see, the email did go through. This is the Tri-C Gmail account that I use. I also sent it to my Tri-C email. Surprisingly, that went through. A lot of mail servers will block this stuff. So here, let's see if I can pull it up. Here you go. I also sent one here so you can see my Outlook from my Tri-C email. Now you'll notice here it'll say we couldn't verify the identity of the sender. So you see it's matt@example.com via SendGrid.net. But aside from this little warning, this is where we get into the effects of phishing. You can really type in whatever you want, right? Like if you want to type in Trump@whitehouse.gov, you could do that. And it really depends on individual organizations making sure they're blocked, making sure you're recognizing as an end user that you are receiving a legitimate email. So let's open up this email we sent to my Gmail, and we see this is a test, matt@example.com via SendGrid.net, so they're the sender, and this is a great test email. So let's jump to the code and let's kind of review what we did. So we imported the SendGrid module. We imported OS because we're going to use the os.environment or environ.get for the environment variable SendGrid API key. And we added the mail helpers for SendGrid. That's how you send an email with SendGrid, kind of the easy way. We created a new SendGrid object on line 5, and we passed in our API key. And then we said, who is this from? Okay, so from matt@example.com. Who is it to? I sent it to mdctric@gmail.com. We set our subject of the email, so our subject line, the title, this is a test. And then we set our content to plain text. This is a test email. All right, and then here we have, we create a new mail object and we pass in who is it from, who is it to, the subject and the content. And we set the result equal to mail. And then now we use the SendGrid client, mail object, send, and then post method to send the mail right here. And we get a response. And that response comes in 3 parts: a status code, a body, and headers. And as we saw, when we got a 202, that's the status code for accepted. So when you're doing this and you're sending an email, if you get 202 back, that means everything was good. Your API key was set correctly, got sent to the server, and then the server sent it off. But just do remember, SendGrid takes a lot of time. Out of most of the email services, it is known as the slowest. But the reason why we use SendGrid is because you don't need a credit card to sign up. You can sign up with an account with just username and password, verify your email, and I don't have to have the expectation of every student in the class having a credit card number to use. Even if you wanted to do Google service for the Google Cloud system, to sign up for Google Cloud Console, you need a credit card number. Not that they charge you, but they do use it. So I kind of wanted to not have that expectation. So that's it with this video. In the next video, we're going to talk about phishing. We're going to talk about the structure of phishing emails, and your lab this week will be to send me some fake emails, right? This is how you do it. So I'm going to keep the lab pretty open-ended. This is, watch this video, parts of this video where you're not waiting for a response. But, this code review here, this is the code you're going to use this week. But what I want you to learn is how to write a convincing message. We'll talk about HTML emails, how to send HTML emails, but also what are the key points of a phishing message? How are we trying to trick users? How do we build trust? How do we get to that human element of social engineering? So the Python code this week is a little light. What I really want you to learn about is the art, and it really is an art of phishing and the art of social engineering and convincing other human beings to trust you. That's it for now.